Welcome to the Sneaking into the Doomsday podcast. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norman Davis. And this week we have a very special episode for y'all. We're going to be talking all things Doom and going over some very special comic book runs that should help you get ready for Avengers Doomsday later this year. Before we get into this, I should say, heavy spoilers for everything being talked about. So the comic books specifically, we're kind of just going to rip into them. We'll put a reading list on the social media if you kind of want to read that on your own and then maybe come back to us and see what we think of it and why we think it'll tie to Doomsday. Spoilers to everything Marvel Cinematic Universe, TV, whatever. With all that being said, let's get right into it. I know we always talk about movies. We've talked about Marvel movies and stuff. But I thought, what a great idea it would be to use some of my comic book knowledge to help people get ready for Avengers Doomsday and learn more about Doctor Doom. Because it's no secret he's never really been done justice on the big screen before.
We actually, for a little bit of background, when we were deciding what we were going to do for the Sneaking into the Doomsday slate, Norman, you were very adamant about including some kind of Fantastic Four, some kind of Doctor Doom, and we couldn't really fit it in because there's really no good interpretation of Doctor Doom in movies yet, and, reading some of the stuff you told me to read has illuminated that for me even further. You wanted to do and have wanted to do the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie for a long time, and I vetoed it, but if, you Sneaking into the Movies listeners out there really want to see us tackle that episode, let us know and maybe we'll do it. But yeah, no, we're talking about Doctor Doom today. And Norman, I know you are a much bigger fan of the guy than me. Not that I'm not a fan, I just don't have as much, background with the character.
I've said it before, Marvel-wise, my favorite characters are the Fantastic Four, so obviously my favorite Marvel villain's gonna be Doctor Doom.
Okay. So where does your love for this guy and the Fantastic Four start?
It started... I read some comics as a kid. I wasn't, really picking it up weekly or nothing. It was, middle school, high school is when I really started getting into comics.
Okay.
There was one very special run. It's the first one I'm going to talk about. I have it on the reading list I made for Max here. This run really doesn't have anything what's good to go on within Doomsday. It's just my favorite comic book run ever. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run from the late 2000s. We're going to make kind of a graphic explaining where you can read all this stuff, because for those of you who don't know, some of this comic stuff gets really weird where you read these 3 issues and these 3 issues and then you skip 5 years and read the next 8 issues there. But essentially, it was just kind of a modern-ish retelling of the Fantastic Four and everything. The Future Foundation comes from there. Those white suits with Spider-Man that everyone knows about, but no one really knows where it's from. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a huge, huge run that has a ton of awesome stuff happen with the Fantastic Four. And it's kind of leads into modern-day Secret Wars, which I guarantee that, especially Secret Wars, but Doomsday is also going to take a ton from. And there's a lot of cool Doom stuff in here. Like I said, it's not really about Doom the same way that a lot of these other runs are. But yeah, it just really shows Doom's dynamic with the family, their kids. And yeah, it got me to really fall in love with comics and take it more, seriously as someone who was older, not just reading them for the pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where my love for the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom really...
So that Hickman run is vast, as I can see on this reading guide. There's a lot of issues involved. What are some of your favorite parts of that run and some of the key Doom moments, I guess I would say?
Well, there's something called the Council of Reeds in this book.
So that's where that comes from. Okay.
The Council of Reeds comes from this. Essentially, our mainline Reed Richards kind of figures out interdimensional travel and he meets a bunch of other Reed Richards that are also like, hey, you finally figured it out. And he gets here, and it's just, it's hundreds of the smartest man in the universe all together. There's like some of them are just wearing Infinity gauntlets. Like you can just tell these guys have figured it out.
They beat the game.
Yeah. And in their basement, they have hundreds of lobotomized Doctor Dooms.
That is crazy.
Which is pretty nuts.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, a ton happens in these books, so it's hard to explain everything without just explaining it piece by piece. But yeah, Doom gets, our main Doom, not lobotomized Doom, gets a pretty good amount of time with Valeria, which I really like.
Yeah.
Doom has a very interesting relationship with the Fantastic Four's kids. We saw that set up in First Steps, obviously, with that post-credit scene of Doom getting to Franklin. We'll get more into that. There's kind of a run that's specifically kind of about that. But yeah, he's just so cool. And he's not necessarily as nefarious in this. Like, it isn't really the Fantastic Four against Doom. Like Doom just finds out everything that's going on and kind of wants to see what's going on. It's like, I'm going to do it my own way. It's really cool. But yeah, like I said, the Future Foundation stuff is really, really cool. The death of Johnny Storm happens in this book, famously, which is what leads to the Future Foundation. But yeah, this is just like my favorite comic book run. Like I said, it's not too Doom-centric. It's more Fantastic Four-y. But
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of where my love for these characters really started.
Okay, so let's actually transition into the movie stuff now, because I think that's a good kind of way to talk about this, because we just had Fantastic Four First Steps, as you mentioned. That movie dealt with the birth of Franklin Richards, and that was what the entire movie was about. Yeah. Now, the origins of the development of that movie started well before Doomsday was even a thing that they were going to do. It was Kang Dynasty before this, or whatever machination of that Avengers movie it was at the time. They were not thinking about Doctor Doom when they started making that Fantastic Four movie as far as being the main Avengers baddie.
Yeah.
But you can see that they've kind of, at least I think, I'm wondering what you're thinking, but I think that they have molded it in a way where if the movie is going to center around Doctor Doom and Franklin Richards, like it feels like maybe they thought it out more than they actually did. What do you think about the current trajectory that we're on and the way that Fantastic Four First Steps could transition into Avengers Doomsday?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with that, like you said, like this movie was announced a long time ago. It had a totally different logo. It was going to be directed by, I think it was John Watts.
Yep, who directed Spider-Man, all the Tom Holland Spider-Mans.
Yeah. I'm happy with the movie we got, I'll just say. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I imagine the movie was probably always going to have like Sue being pregnant. Their kids are like really, really important to them. Go figure. It's more of like a last 30, 40 years effort, having Valeria and Franklin and all of that. But yeah, like Franklin is like one of the most powerful characters in the universe, as we learn in First Steps. And he's always at the center of a lot of big, crazy, multiversal. I mean, obviously the Fantastic Four are brought in, but then usually has something to do with Franklin, or they use Franklin. So yeah.
Another thing that just kind of popped into my mind was that, and you would know more about this than me, is Franklin Richards is obviously the son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Prior to all of this Doctor Doom stuff, we were going to get a Kang movie, and Kang is also a descendant of Reed Richards.
Yeah.
What do you think of that story? Do you think that story would have been easier to tell or better? Like, let's just say, I know you're obviously a huge fan of Doctor Doom, probably more so than Kang, but are you excited that we are in the position that we are in, or would you rather have a Kang movie, Jonathan Majors stuff, divorced from all of that?
I don't Kang is not Thanos.
Okay.
I don't think he is. I wouldn't say he's like a no. You know what? I'll say it. He's kind of like a one movie villain. So I always thought it was cool that they were trying to make him something bigger than he was. But typically, in like the comics and everything else, he's usually not too much trouble for someone who seems like a ton of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm excited about getting Doom. I do not like the way they're going about it at all. Um, you can't kind of just drop in Doom out of nowhere. You really need to give time to set up his rivalry with Reed, which is so important to this character, as we'll talk about a little more here.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm not going to pretend I'm not crazy excited to see Doctor Doom in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be good.
Done well, maybe for the first time. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is an incredible actor, but I don't know. We'll see. They're gonna do some bullshit for sure. They're gonna time in Iron Man. We've already accepted that.
I actually it sounds kind of weird, but after reading this stuff that you've told me to read, and to be clear, I read Books of Doom 1 through 6 and Fantastic Four Unthinkable. And I also read Infamous Iron Man like a while back, which is about Victor Von Doom kind of taking up the mantle of Iron Man. You don't think it's going to be related in any way. I don't see how that story would be. It would be really hard to kind of like do that because I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like maybe I didn't put it on this reading list
Mhm.
because I don't know. I mean, like Infamous, it's a cool book, but
Great art.
Yeah, fantastic art. I hope that's not the direction they're taking with Doom.
Mhm.
Um,
It only works if you really kind of already. They do a good bit of like establishing who Doctor Doom is through that. It's really like a Doctor Doom kind of character study. But you really do need a lot of background on Doctor Doom for that to work in a way where
I
like
think you do.
I don't know if you're gonna like have the time to do that.
You're just not going to.
Yeah.
Like I said, just in general, you need that for Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
If you give Thanos 10 years, I know why they're doing Doctor Doom now. It's because they're pressing the big red emergency button. Who's the coolest character ever? But yeah, like that's the main reason I'm not excited for Doomsday is that you can't just really jump into that. Like obviously they're gonna do something different. They're not gonna adhere to these books that we're talking about. But so, I don't know. I'm just so like shaky on everything.
Yeah. It is, basically the way they've done this is really kind of haphazardly throwing stuff together after all of the Jonathan Majors stuff and everything that they've had to deal with, like with the flops of their television shows and movies and stuff. They've had to rework this into something that like maybe people will want to see, and we still don't know if it's going to be good at all. We don't really know what's happening. It's an interesting place to be in. We've never really been in a place like this with these modern Marvel movies.
Sure.
As far as like, we do have all of the background. We have experienced the Infinity Saga, Endgame, Infinity War, all that stuff. So we do have an attachment to a lot of these characters and this universe. But we've had to deal with, the last several years of the output, which has been mostly poor. It's an interesting place to be in. And
it's a Hail Mary. I mean,
yeah.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah. And for that reason, we have really no idea what we're going to get here. Like, we kind of knew with Infinity War and Endgame. And also, I wanted to say, to the Thanos point, it's true they did, like, tease him for 10 years, but they didn't really build him
agree with
up.
You there.
Like, he only really gets... Like, Infinity War should be called Thanos Infinity War. It might as well be called that. Like, he is basically the whole movie. Or at least half the movie. But yeah, I think they could do something similar here. I think it could work, but it's like you said, like this Doom guy has got a little more going on, it seems. And I wanted to ask about his relationship with Reed Richards, because that was something that really came through in Unthinkable for me. I wasn't super familiar on like I know like they're it's like Batman and the Joker. Like they fight each other.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. But that, run kind of really gave me a sense of like what his strengths and weaknesses are, or what Reed's strengths and weaknesses are, what Doom's strengths and weaknesses are, and why they really don't like each other.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you think that Avengers Doomsday can make that relationship work based on what we have right now? Can you see it?
Um, Unless like most of the movie takes place in that Fantastic Four universe, but still, like they go back. I'm gonna bring up Books of Doom here. You said you did read that.
I did read that. Yes.
Yeah. So Doom and Reed have like known each other since college.
Yes.
Um, and essentially to not just spoil the whole book, but Doom's trying to get his mom back from hell. I know that sounds crazy without
Yep.
like reading all this out loud. But essentially, Doom's trying to do something. He does it wrong. Reed's like, "Hey, you should do it this way." He ignores Reed and he blames Reed for everything, kind of, anyways. Like Reed Richards, even before they were the Fantastic Four, like he's always just hated this dude, and it drives so much of his like rage, which is why, I mean, I think they're gonna try, but like you really do need like a movie or two or something like that to really understand like Reed and Doom, especially when it comes to Secret Wars. The Secret Wars book from 2015, they're totally just going to copy and paste that. That whole thing ends. It's all about Reed and Doom, like at the absolute height of like it's just the two of them fighting, just saying all of it out loud. And yeah, it sucks that we're not getting that much time to really build that. Like they're gonna have to stuff it into 2 movies. I mean, I hope that it's mainly about Reed Richards and Doctor Doom, because I mean, there's a billion other characters in this movie. Obviously, I don't know. People have said in that chair video. You remember the chair video?
I do remember the chair video.
That it's Pedro Pascal and then like RDJ, like
it's as if it's a two-hander. Like
yeah, as if it's like a two-hander of like this is Reed and Doom's story. So I mean, I have some hope. Obviously, these guys like they read comics. Kevin Feige knows everything or whatever.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would hope that they understand how important this relationship is, and don't try to turn it into like Captain America and Doctor Doom or Spider-Man and Doctor Doom or something like that.
That's one way they could go, which I want to ask you about in a minute, but I do want to mention the moment in Unthinkable that really kind of like made everything kind of click for me is when Doctor Doom actually captures the Fantastic Four and he's like torturing all of them. Basically, he scrambles all their powers, like kind of happens in like Rise of the Silver Surfer, the movie. That's a fun part of that movie that I always liked. But yeah, no, he's basically torturing them. He has Johnny kind of like stretched all the way out like Mr. Fantastic. He's, Sue Storm is like burning like Johnny and she's like actually like hurting and stuff. And he has these rock guys just punching the shit out of the thing. Really funny, like goofy stuff. But he just has Mr. Fantastic in a normal ass like what appears at that time. There's more after that, but it's what appears to be just a normal ass jail cell. And Doctor Doom goes down there and he's like, "Look, if you want to get out of this normal ass jail cell setup, you can look behind you. There's a library behind you. You can learn magic and learn a spell that a 4-year-old could do, or you're just going to be stuck in here." And he just treats him like an infant. Like Doctor Doom's whole thing in that moment, and seems to be kind of the ethos of his character, is like he exists to make Reed Richards feel like an idiot. And
that is a big part of it. I should say too, Reed like does not like magic at all.
Yeah.
So like just adding on that level, like Reed is a scientific man. He tries to explain all of magic. I mean, he's trying to solve everything in the world, right? So like magic, how do you make that make sense? So yeah, for Doom to do that in Unthinkable is really just like cherry on top.
You get a lot of good stuff with the magic in that story because Stephen Strange gets involved later on, and Stephen Strange is kind of telling him. It's interesting hearing it from Stephen Strange too, because as we know, Stephen from the movies, he's also kind of a prick and also very specific about everything. But in the comic book, he tells Reed Richards, like, you gotta kind of let go. You're like trying to control all of this way too much, and magic is more about the understanding that you can't control everything and you kind of gotta like thrive within the chaos. I'm paraphrasing, but all that stuff is really, really interesting and good. So to think, like, let's say let's pull back here and talk about the movie again. Let's say they're not going down the road. Let's say they saw the Fantastic Four numbers of the movie and they were like, maybe this, doesn't work as a Mr. Fantastic movie. And they say, Thor, you're now Doctor Doom's the arch nemesis. Not necessarily Thor, but I'm just saying, let's say they make it another guy. Let's say they make it about the original Avengers. Let's just say like all of those guys. I'm gonna say you lower your guard here. Let's just hear me out here for a second. Is there any way at all you can see this movie working if it is about Doctor Doom versus any other character against Reed Richards as far as like the main conflict in the movie?
I would just get rid of the rivalry part of it, like totally.
Okay.
You're not doing Reed. I mean, just have him. I don't know, just really want power or something. But okay. It's just so important to that character. But like I said, I don't even think it's really going to work into the movie without that background of like they've known each other before Reed had superpowers, before Doom had superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I don't really see a world where that works.
Okay.
What about you?
Not really, but again, kind of like you said, where, they'd have to get rid of the rivalry aspect of it. Let's say they do. Let's say that's not really part of it. And Doom is just a guy that's more, I guess, more like Iron Man or Mr. Fantastic in his movie, where he's kind of...
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. But he is, let's say he is more like, okay, I'm just a really, really smart guy who's into science and also the mystic arts, and I have deduced that the multiverse is dying and only I am the guy that can save it, and you Avengers are trying to stop me, and that's kind of the movie. That seems like what they're going to do, right?
That does seem like it, yeah. I mean,
okay.
Like I've said 100 times, like we lost that background. It's bastardized Doom. So
yeah, that's kind of what we're running the risk of here. So it could go either way. We could go cool movie about Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom, or we could go the way of, okay, we're doing the big one, everybody's on screen at the same time kind of thing, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that could go either way. We'll see. But let's talk more about Books of Doom, I think. We spent a little bit of time on that, but that really is... That's the story that you gave me that's kind of the modern retelling of Doom's origin. And it was very, very informative about as far as like what he's all about, how he kind of came to America, met Reed Richards. Talk a little bit about what that story, what Doomsday could take from that story.
I imagine they will take most of that.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's the origin kind of his magic and his genius level intellect and technology and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing really in those books they haven't like touched on. Mm-hmm. I guess like Hell. They've done Hell, sort of.
When?
Ragnarok. I don't know. You could explain it. No one would be like, what?
Yeah, it's Hell. You get it.
But yeah, I mean, his tragic backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Everything with his mother's soul. I really just think they take everything other than like the Reed stuff. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll retcon and be like, Reed will be like, I know this guy. We went to college.
They really don't say anything about their relation. Like, it's not even hinted at in First Steps.
Yeah.
It's just the UN and he's not there. It's like the Latveria thing, and you see that, and he's not there. So they could really do whatever they want at this point.
Maybe he takes off his mask and he's like Doom, and everyone else is like Iron Man or something stupid like that. Very real possibility.
That is that's very possible. So let's talk a bit about the mask. The mask is obvious, and the armor is a huge part of this character, and you see a lot of that in Books of Doom and how he kind of came to become Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's just kind of part of like his pettiness. Like he gets this one big scratch on his face. I'm gonna burn metal to my entire body.
Yep.
I'm hideous monster freak.
Yep. And in Books of Doom, I don't think they ever show you his face. You don't really know. It's just implied like, oh, he kind of got
like
fucked up from an explosion.
It's like a big scratch usually. It's not like he's mutilated, whatever. It's like a big scar essentially.
Yeah. But yeah, do you think that he will be wearing the mask in this movie for a good bit, or do you think he's going to be taking it off a bunch?
I don't think you pay one single human being $300 million to cover up his face. I don't know. Not to spoil. I won't talk about how we get there, but there's a very, very powerful moment towards the end of Secret Wars where Doom does take off his mask, and it's like incredibly rewarding. It's like, oh my god, he never does this, all this stuff. But yeah, no, he's probably gonna have it off for a decent chunk of this, I would say. What do you think? If it was any other actor on the planet, maybe not, but they paid that dude like almost $500 million.
They paid him $1 gajillion, and the whole thing is his face. Like people are coming to see RDJ. Now
I'm gonna walk out, by the way, because it's gonna be a retractable Iron Man mask. Just telling you right now.
Oh, dude, no. That is like worst case scenario. That's actually worst case scenario. Like if that happens,
That is the scenario. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna look like Iron Man, but it's gonna be the retractable. Everyone's Ant-Man's got one for some reason.
Sidebar on that entire phenomenon, the nanotech phenomenon. It sucks, and it sucks for a number of reasons. But so many times in these superhero movies, and just stories in general, the actual like putting on and taking off the mask and the mantle and the identity of the hero is like the whole thing in a lot of times. And when you have a nanotech thing that just goes at any time, it fully removes the dramatic effect of any of that. Like you think about the Raimi movies, you think about like Spider-Man, when he gets unmasked by Harry. It's like a whole dramatic ass scene, and it's like one of the most important parts of that entire trilogy. Mm-hmm. You think of, we think of Doctor Doom in this case, like Doctor Doom taking off the mask, like the physical act of taking off the mask, is such an important part, or potential part of this character, and to fully remove the dramatic effect of that by having him go boop is like it's dumb. It's dumb and stupid and bad, and I hate it.
I do hate when they do that. The biggest offender for me was Black Panther. I think his suit in Civil War is like by far the best one he's had.
Yes,
and that scene, the scene where he unmasks himself, I think it's like under the bridge after they have that big fight. It's so cool. It's so much cooler than. I mean, it looks awful in Black Panther.
When you get the situation. Yeah,
I think it works for like Star-Lord and Iron Man, but Iron Man had to wait 10 years, so it made sense. But like everyone else, like, why does Ant-Man have one?
Yeah, it's dumb that like all of those characters would have one. Mm-hmm. Some of them have to have like a tactile element to them. Like it makes a lot of sense for Star-Lord to kind of have that nanotech. That was the first time we saw it, and it was
it's in space. It's like it works there, but Thor has one in Ragnarok. Like his helmet, like what?
At least make it look a little like he's a Norse god. You could have him materialize the mask in a way that's like cool and works for the character. It
Yeah.
looks the same every time for everybody. It's like
Mm-hmm.
like at the very least, if you're gonna have the whole CGI mask situation, which sucks, and like just make a mask and put it on them and figure out how to film it
Yeah.
and make up your goddamn minds. That's step one. Step 1B is like, if you really want to do the CGI mask thing, just make it cool. Just make it cool. That's just like all you have to do. For Thor, it shouldn't look like Iron Man. It should look like how Thor would put a mask on. Feels
Mm-hmm.
self-explanatory, but these movies have been getting it wrong for the longest time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the little sidebar on nanotech masks. But it does relate to Doctor Doom as far as, him using that mask to hide his figure is like one of the most important aspects of this character.
And he's not going to wear it for most of the movie.
You think he's not going to wear it for most of the movie? I think he is going to wear it a good amount. I don't think he's going to be like Robert Downey Jr. for the whole movie in a hood. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen, because we think about these, like, we obviously want this movie to be good on like a story level. We want it to be interesting. We want it to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But these movies are also designed to sell toys, and if Robert Downey Jr.'s face is on the toy, it's not as fun.
You only got to wear that mask once to sell the toy.
I guess. But I feel like it would be a situation in which, like, Doctor Doom's mask would be on most of the time, and then, like, in some kind of, like we're talking about, in some kind of dramatic way, he takes it off. I don't know what that moment would be in the context of an Avengers movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it could be, especially because he has Iron Man's face. It could be interesting. On that note, do you think Doctor Doom is a scarred guy? Do you think he is actually going to have do you think he will have Robert Downey Jr.'s face to the point where they can go like, oh yeah, that's Iron Man, and not be like totally like the really fucked up version of the character where he's basically
They're
got,
going to show his face in probably the first trailer for that movie. So
okay. And you think he's just going to have the little scar, basically?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be like mutilated or anything like that. He'll just have a big scar.
Okay.
It'll be right here.
Okay. Can you see any way in which the dramatic mask off might work with the current Avengers?
If it takes place at the end of Secret Wars and they do pretty much the exact same thing as the book, yeah.
Okay.
If they can hold off for 2 whole movies, not happening.
Is there any? So yeah, we think about like Infinity Gauntlet and stuff like that. Like I read Infinity Gauntlet before Infinity War, and Infinity Gauntlet starts with the snap, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's pretty early on.
Yeah. And, they changed that in the movie. The whole movie is about him getting the stones and him snapping away 50% of the population of the universe. Can you see them fit in the Secret Wars? I don't know exactly what happens here, and I'm going to read this before the Avengers movie comes out, so maybe we'll talk about it again later on. But is there a way you could see them fitting that moment into this first Doomsday movie? Or is it it's impossible based on the moment?
No, so Secret Wars kind of opens with the end of the universe. Kind of like you said, they're going to do like Infinity Gauntlet. Like you said, he snaps it pretty quick. Doomsday is going to be everything leading up to Secret Wars. So Secret Wars, the comic, opens with the Ultimate Universe and the main universe fighting it out. Then the universe ends in Doom World, like within the first kind of couple pages.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine this Doomsday movie is going to be everyone trying to figure out what we're going to do. Can we trust this guy? Why are the X-Men putting bombs in places, blowing up universes or something like that?
That's a thing in Secret Wars?
Yes. So it leading up to Secret Wars. So like I said, that Fantastic Four run is kind of a part of it. It's a lot of Jonathan Hickman stuff.
Okay.
There's some very key Avengers run in the 2010s that leads straight into Secret Wars. It'll be on the rating list as well, specifically the new Avengers. And Doom is all over that. He is essentially just going around and blowing up multiverses with
Okay. So
and trying to get their Molecule Mans.
because Molecule Man does
He's
something that he
incredibly
needs.
important to Secret Wars. I'm curious if he's going to be in the movies. Um, they could probably squeeze him in. Like I don't, not a character you have to build up or anything like that. Um,
It'd be really funny if you have like some kind of celebrity stunt casting with like a small ass part, like
yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio is playing Molecule
hmm
Man or some fucking bullshit like that.
I I don't even know anymore. But yeah, so I think Doomsday. Doom's probably the only one who knows what's about to go down, which is why he pops up in the Fantastic Four universe. There's this whole question online of like someone's gonna end up trusting Doom. We don't know if it's everyone, if it's the X-Men, if it's the Fantastic Four, if it's the Avengers, but someone's gonna meet him and be like, "Now this guy named Victor Von Doom is he's doing the right thing." Or
Let's take a break and talk more about that specifically. Okay, we're back. And we were talking about someone from our Avengers, the X-Men. Somebody's going to say this Doom guy's got some good ideas, you know. Um Looking at the playing field, Norman, we got some Avengers, we got some X-Men, we got the Fantastic Four in this movie, maybe some more people that we don't even know about yet. Um, Based on what you know about these characters from the movies and from the comic books, who would you say is gonna kind of lead that uh, Doom uh, Doom team? I guess the we should trust Doom team.
you know, I don't want to cop out and say it could be anyone, but it definitely could be anyone.
Okay,
These characters are way stupider in these movies and shows than they are in the books.
okay,
Actually, canonically, there's I don't remember which comic it is, but there's a comic where they're going through the multiverse and they find the MCU,
hmm
and they pretty much say these guys are dumb and joke about everything.
that is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, pretty accurate though. So I don't know. I mean, worst case scenario is the Fantastic Four, which makes me think it's probably going to be the Fantastic Four. Um,
Mm.
I don't know. I really don't think it will. I
Why would they trust him given that they're like I'm gonna be the average person who doesn't know much about this stuff right now. Why would the Fantastic Four be the ones to trust him given that they're arch enemies?
I feel like that could be a reason why they're trying to differentiate their Doom and Fantastic Four. It seems like Doom meets them first, so there's this whole idea that Doom kind of tricks them, and they all go to the main universe and meet everyone with Doom. I don't know, but my brain, like reason wise, is probably telling me the X Men though. They seem like the most likely. Um, just in general, they're by nature of. I'm trying to think of the way I want to word this, but by nature of like they kind of do anything they can for mutants, whether that some mutants, especially like Magneto or something,
Mm-hmm.
um, he's not always wrong. It's just the way he kind of goes about it, and I could
Mm-hmm.
see that kind of philosophy. Like Doom pulls up to them, it's like, hey, universes are colliding with each other and exploding, and everyone's dying. Um, it's us or them. Are you with me? If all three of those teams are presented that question, the X Men I feel like are the easiest to be like, yeah, especially if Magneto's there because we saw that first trailer that Magneto's hanging out with Charles. Obviously they kind of have a thing going. Like they like each other, but they're
Mm-hmm.
enemies, whatever. Will they? Won't they? If you will.
Yeah.
But
A
um,
little heated rivalry there, if you will.
yeah, a little heated rivalry. Um, they seem like the team that would be most open to blowing up other universes or whatever Doom is doing here. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're hitting on something that's very interesting and also seems to make sense as far as like the more vulnerable you are, the more likely it is that you're going to be manipulated. Um, and the X-Men by nature are vulnerable. Like in their, I'm guessing like they're going to be in their own separate. We don't really know how this is going to work. Like maybe they are in the universe with like Spider-Man and Daredevil and all the Ben Affleck Daredevil and
Yeah.
all that, whatever that is. But I'm going to assume for now it's going to operate similar to how those X-Men movies back in the day operated, where they were just kind of in their own universe. And in that universe,
I think so too.
they are, they're preyed upon basically. Like like the government is constantly trying to attack them. People on the streets think they're, a danger to society. It's the whole thing. I'm explaining the concept of the X-Men. You probably know what the X-Men are if you're listening to this podcast.
They're like minorities, just straight up. That's the inspiration for them. That's the idea for them.
The concept,
they are minorities in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
and they are X-Men, persecuted for being different.
Yes, it is an allegory for civil rights,
right?
In a sense. And the thing that you bring up is interesting because I could see, a team of like Magneto, Namor, maybe the more like the ones that are more like because those two characters specifically are the two guys that are like, and there's probably more out there, but you know more about the X-Men than me, but I know there's typically some of the X-Men kind of go the Magneto way and some go the Charles Xavier way, but of the characters that we know are going to be in the movie for sure, I can point to Namor and Magneto as far as the two guys that are going to be a lot more aggressive about like, look,
it's us versus them.
It's us versus them.
Or us or them, I guess.
Yeah, we're never going to be safe unless we fuck up the human world and make a new world in our own image.
I should say this all happens in the comics. It's not with a specific team. Essentially, it's like the Illuminati have this idea of like, hey, the only way to stop this is to blow up other universes, and they're all kind of like, nah. But
to stop what specifically?
To stop incursions and save their universe. Okay. They don't really know what's happening, why incursions are happening, if they're just going to keep on happening. The Illuminati's all like, no. Captain America's there like, are you crazy? We're not going to do this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Namor's on the Illuminati. And Namor's like, damn it, I guess it is us or them. So he goes and picks up a couple baddies. Thanos, some other guys. And they start doing it. And then the Illuminati banishes them to another universe. They end up all being in Doom World. That's where you get that classic Doctor Doom ripping Thanos in half. Or ripping his spine out, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely doing it, but they don't have enough villains for it to make sense to where they do it that way. So I do think it'll probably be a team. Motives-wise, X-Men just make more sense. They get they're a little grittier than the other ones, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only ones that are like being attacked by everybody.
Yeah.
The Avengers don't even understand what that is, and I'm assuming there is.
Literally in the name, they avenge people. They don't really fight for themselves. Like the X-Men, when Cyclops is fighting whoever, Stryker or Sentinels or something, it's for himself
and his family,
and his friends and his kids and all this stuff. So motives-wise, it's probably gonna be the X-Men. But
okay,
the Avengers are very stupid. Specifically, the new Avengers are just a group of morons. Love them. I'm most excited to see them, Loki, after Thunderbolts. But yeah. I could see Doom coming out and being like, hey, this the dealio. They're like, that's a good idea. Maybe Sam's team, whoever that is like, that's probably not a good idea. So I don't know. I guess X-Men and a Avengers team. We don't know what Sam's team is going to look like. We know that there are two Avengers teams running around. We know it's like Sam, Joaquin, and Shang-Chi. Fun.
Yeah.
At the least. So,
yeah. Let's get into that too. Like the event, the quote unquote real Avengers are who don't really exist right now in the universe, but we're going to call them the quote unquote real Avengers because they're going to come and try to big dog the new Avengers. Sam Wilson, safe to say. All the guys you said, Falcon,
Joaquin Torres
Shang-Chi,
and yeah.
and Thor, I guess. The Hulk, I
Captain
guess.
America?
Steve Rogers, Captain America, I guess. Maybe. I don't.
Um,
It seems like he's
I don't think Hulk's. I'm at the point where anyone who hasn't been announced probably not going to be in this movie.
really.
I've kind of been playing with that idea in my head. Yeah.
So you think everybody that they announce, and sure they could do like some small cameo, like the Red Skull or whatever, like shit like that. But as far as like the main characters in the movie, you think they kind of it's all out there already.
I kind of feel that way. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Marvels might be in it, but like the big Spider-Man's definitely not in it,
Hmm.
or at least Tom Holland. Who else? The Hulk. I don't think the Hulk's gonna be in it. I feel like they're gonna. I don't know. Maybe he is. I just part of me's just like it's not in it. Uh,
He's in Spider-Man,
he is
we
in
think.
Spider-Man.
So
Um, Doctor Strange. That just feels like a character you'd want to announce.
it
Um,
does, and it
Benedict
also feels like
Cumberbatch
a
has
character
been
that would be
very.
important.
He would be very important. It seems like unless they didn't have a deal locked down by then, like that's someone you'd want to announce with the first big cast. And Benedict Cumberbatch is saying everything about this movie. You know, he's probably very well trained in the Marvel secrecy type of situation they go for there. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm kind of at this point where I'm like, if they haven't been announced, maybe a couple more people, but like
Hmm.
everyone's not going to be here. Probably in Secret Wars, but
Hmm.
yeah. Like
Okay, so
you think they hide in Hawkeye?
Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, I could see.
I guess maybe.
I wasn't there a thing a while ago about like Renner not being in it because they didn't pay him what he wanted and he's like
So that
taking a
was like
stand
for
now.
Hawkeye season 2.
Okay.
He took it as it's because he got in his accident. I
Hmm.
think it's more that they just spent way too much on Hawkeye season 1.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. Yeah, like there's that part of it too. Maybe that's why he's not back. She-Hulk, um, Tatiana
Masalani.
Maslany, um, straight up was like cancel Disney Plus when
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel got taken off the day. So I can't imagine.
Rightfully so. Rightfully
Yeah.
so. I mean,
Good on her.
I hope
yeah,
she can, do that and still be employed by that company and, do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
I mean, maybe she doesn't want to come back. Is kind of the thing too. She
yeah,
kind of, I mean, people were awful when that show came out. So I don't know. Yeah,
I think she
we'll
is
see.
in
Maybe 2 weeks from now they'll have a chairs thing and it'll be like Benedict Cumberbatch, Mark Ruffalo,
Tom Holland.
whatever, Tom
Like,
Holland.
yeah.
Um, Guardians. Like, are the Guardians going to be in this?
I don't think because
Maybe.
you would think. Oh, this is an interesting topic of discussion. Is this movie going to be more terrestrial or galactic?
Mm,
Space or land?
terrestrial. Yeah. I
It
feel
seems that way, doesn't it? It doesn't really seem like they're gonna go to space and have a lot of opportunities to meet the
No, I
Guardians and
think
do
they're
all
gonna
of that
spend
stuff.
a decent chunk of the Fantastic Four universe. This was leaked. They're going to the TVA. Obviously, Loki's in this, so maybe this does. get a
Yo,
little
hold up, TVA.
You didn't know about
TVA.
this?
I didn't know about this.
Oh, this was. I don't know if you remember. Like, there were just random set photo leaks that they definitely did on purpose. But one of them was Chris Hemsworth's stunt double, or maybe personal someone. I don't know. Taking a picture on set, and it was just time variance authority right on the ground right there.
That
Where's my Owen Wilson
is-
chair?
yeah. You know,
Do you
that
think
is
the TVA would? You think they do Loki without? That seems like that's how you get to the World Trade.
yeah. You would they'd have to take you there. We don't know where it is in the universe or whatever. It's probably
It's outside
actually
of it.
yeah. Didn't they? Because it's in theory it's in the same space as the Kang temple, like the Kang where he was sitting,
Yeah,
which was outside
space
of
and time.
yeah, outside of space and time. So yeah, in theory, you'd have to go to the TVA to figure all that out. I love the TVA. Anytime you just said the TVA, and my whole fucking world just shifted
Yeah.
on this movie. Um, Same thing happened when we first saw Deadpool and Wolverine inside the TVA. I was like, okay, maybe this movie isn't going to be too bad, and then it was. But nonetheless, it was still super cool to see Deadpool walking around the TVA. I
Yeah.
still think that to this day, even though the movie didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. Um, so yeah, that is one of those. It's really interesting that that is the case. I don't know how the average Joe feels about this, or if the average Joe even watched Loki. Probably not. But
But the average Joe went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine.
true.
And they'll probably, you could say that we guard time.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's
The quirky office building. We make sure all the timelines are right.
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be too much for people, but
No, I also think like that is one of those things that like I they did in this most recent batch of movies and shows that I can say is like something I'm really fully invested in. Like when you say Shang-Chi's coming back, I'm like, okay. Captain America, even Steve Rogers coming back, I'm like, okay. We saw the guy's whole thing.
yeah,
It's over. They called it Endgame. It ended. But you see this TVA stuff, and I'm like, that's that stuff I like. And yeah, the prospect of seeing all of our characters there is interesting to me. The thing that I want to ask you is, how do you think? Do you think that Doctor Doom? Do you think that the TVA is going to be a big part of Doctor Doom's ultimate plan in the movie? Like, do you think he's going to have to go through the TVA and Loki to do what he's trying to do?
definitely.
Okay.
I don't think you bring Loki back for the and they like announced it. Like I don't think you make a big deal about Loki coming back if it's not super duper important. I've
Okay.
had this idea before that like this movie could just be a big race to Loki, and
Mhm.
Doom gets there first and everyone loses. Um,
If it is a race to Loki here, I have a few notes on that. There are a couple of people who we know for sure know where at least the TVA is. I don't know if we know. I don't know if anybody really knows where Loki is. The way Loki season 2 ends, it doesn't even seem like his friends kind of know what happened at the end of that show.
mm-hmm.
Deadpool knows what's going on.
Oh, he knows he's in a movie.
He knows everything that's going on, but he specifically like he was
Yeah,
the
yeah, he's
one
been there.
guy. He's the one guy in all of this. And Hugh Jackman, that Hugh Jackman Wolverine, and I'm sure the TVA go to different universes and all that stuff, and in the timelines. I'm sure they visited every kind of Avenger or superhero you could visit. But as far as our main guys that we follow, Deadpool's really the only guy who could be that uh, what Ant-Man did in Endgame.
Yeah,
What do you think of that as
I
a
think it's.
possibility? And do you think I'm wrong? Do you think there's other people that do know that I'm forgetting?
I am almost confident. I feel like we talked about this the other day, not on here, but there's one guy who does know, and that's how they're going to justify bringing him back. Steve Rogers. He messed with time, big time.
So this is an old theory from the Endgame days, isn't it?
Kind of, but it's kind of morphed now that we know he's back. That essentially they were gonna prune his timeline or whatever, and Loki was just kind of like, you can go, we'll sneak you into this universe. There won't be any problems or whatever. Because you can do that when you're in charge of the multiverse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's like happens in the comics too, where people like rebuild them. At the end of Secret Wars in the comics, the multiverse is rebuilt, and I won't spoil who. The people who are doing it take some liberties to make things make a little more sense and put people in places they want to put them in. So, yeah, one of these theories I've been reading that makes sense is that like maybe Loki was like, "Hey, you can't stay here, but you can go
Yeah.
here." People think it's the Fantastic Four universe. Um, I don't know. I don't really care, but
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. I think though probably Steve's that Loki TVA connection because Captain America is the man out of time, but now he's really the man out of time. So
Yeah. That could be an interesting, way to end his story in a way. Like he is like the way you put it, that does feel like a continuation of what we know our Captain America Steve Rogers to be.
because the Russos keep saying like we couldn't make this movie without him. He's always been part of the grand narrative, and he still is. So they got to give him something. They got to give him a huge ass reason to come back. It's kind of with it.
I agree with you, and I think that you know I think this we mentioned this a while back and we talked about this, but it really feels like the Russo brothers came in and said, "Okay, we know you made a bunch of movies after we left, but those don't really matter as much as the stuff that we were doing before.
Yeah.
And we're basically just going to make a sequel to Endgame here."
Sequel to Endgame, where like the Fantastic Four, like the last year and a half of movies have happened.
Yeah, they're obviously going to take some stuff. They're not just going to like divorce it from everything, but the my point being, the Avengers from the Infinity Saga are the event, like that is everything that this revolves around and always has been, and will remain in this movie. Now you're kind of, I think that could be a savvy move. I think it could be a savvy move because, like we said, we're not really fans of a lot of that stuff that happened in the middle there between Endgame and Doomsday. We wish some of it was more prevalent, I think. But I think that if you have Steve Rogers come back, he is probably going to be a big part of it. And it would be cool if he was the guy that kind of knew what was going on. And he could be that actual main character. Because as it stands, there's not really any reason for him to come back if he's just going to be like, we need a guy who punches really hard and like
I don't think
is a
he's
leader.
Gonna fight. I don't think he's gonna put on a suit in this movie. I really do think he's gonna play this just very helpful role. Not like they call him or they go to the multiverse and like we need a Captain America bad. I think it's gonna be much more Steve Rogers, no baddie, kind of like Infinity War, but I don't necessarily see him putting on the suit, picking up the shield, and
Okay.
all that stuff.
I think that's interesting. That's an interesting idea. I never really considered the idea that he may not take up the mantle of Captain America in the movie, because that also, another thing that does is it kind of, it also gives a lot of ammo to the people that we hate that, talk about why Sam Wilson's Captain America doesn't work because he's, not a white guy. It's not, it gives those people some ammo, unintended ammo, I guess. And if Steve Rogers doesn't take up the mantle of Captain America in the movie, you're not necessarily doing that, which is, it could be, it could be interesting and good.
Trailer. Yeah.
What'd you say?
They say in that trailer, Steve Rogers will return.
Yeah.
They don't say, and I know all the other ones, they don't really name characters, but I feel like that's a little more than we think it is. Obviously, they show that one little second of him picking up the suit, but they never show him with it on.
He's not wearing it when he drives
they show him
away.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's not wearing it when he drives away. I don't know. That's what
cool.
I'm thinking. I guess.
How do you think he gets into the movie?
Either maybe Doom goes to him. Maybe part of the reason the incursions are happening are because of what he did.
That could be interesting. Although that does, all of that stuff that you're saying right now really piggybacks off of stuff that people thought was going to be part of the movies and shows after Endgame. Like a lot of the conversation post Endgame was like, oh, what happened to Captain America when he went back in time and just sort of like boop de boop de boop and like put the put the stones back? It couldn't have been as easy as it appeared to us on our end of it when he just shows up as an old guy. And what do you think, just generally speaking, what do you think of that theory of like expanding on that millisecond of time where he
thousand
goes
percent. I
away?
mean, like you said, this is an Endgame sequel. At the end of the day, um, clearly they are trying to please the fans, as a lot of these companies do. The mixed results see Star Wars, but they started listening to the people online rather than just hiring talented people and trusting their intuition. So yeah, I totally think that's going to be a big part of it. And all the unanswered things around there, all the things, like you said, yeah, the people are like, they should make a Disney Plus show out of this. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, effectively, yes. That does seem to be what they're doing. Um, what else is here? Let's we got pretty far away from Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
You mentioned Doctor Doom going to meet Steve Rogers. Um, what do you think that him going, like, what do you think Doctor Doom's ultimate goal is in going to the MCU ultimately?
I don't know. I feel like it's just one of the last remaining universes, so it's just kind of a means to an end.
So you think so when we start this movie, are all of the other universes outside the MCU going to be like dead or like dying?
I think
Is
a
that the setup?
significant amount of them are. I mean, it
Okay.
already kind of is happening. Like, there's just straight up an incursion in the Marvels. They solve it, but it's there, you know?
Yeah. How how do you get from the end of Loki season 2 to everything is dead except for the guys that we know? I get
I don't really know, man.
it's a little
That's
thing called Google Docs. You write it down. That's how you get there.
you
Um
go and meet Loki, and he says, this is what's happening.
yeah.
Because, I mean, even though we're not on the Kang Dynasty path anymore, um, like the multiverse was always gonna fall. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I don't really know. I guess your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
I know we're theorizing a lot. I have no idea what we could be so far off on everything.
Yeah. It'll be
Um,
interesting to revisit this when the movie actually comes out,
yeah,
um, to see, how we did. But I had this thought the other day, um, and it was that. Do you remember the trailers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
no,
Okay, so the trailers for that movie had me very excited because it teases a story in which Kang offers Ant-Man the ability to go back in time or to another universe to live the life and the time that he missed with his daughter while he was in the quantum realm during Endgame. And the trailer sort of show this doesn't happen. It's crazy that they released this because this isn't the movie. This is straight up not the movie. If you want
hmm
to see this, go back and revisit the trailers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I promise you they did this, where they're teasing a story where Kang does that. He makes that offer to Ant-Man, and they make some kind of deal, and then Kang betrays Ant-Man and locks him in the quantum realm, and that's kind of him. The movie is him kind of like dealing with that, the ramifications of him making this deal with Kang. That is not what Quantumania is at all. Do you think, because I had this thought the other day, I was like, that could be something that they actually, like, I thought that was an interesting idea for a movie, and also an interesting idea to use for that character specifically of Ant-Man, who we knew missed all that time with his daughter during Endgame. There's a lot of characters that you could sort of do that with because
I mean, they're
they
already doing that with that's Steve Rogers' whole thing right now.
yeah, I mean they already they've done this before, and it is
hmm
an interesting idea. And the one thing that has been constant kind of over the course of like everything is we through the shows and the movies we kind of have seen a bunch of like stuff on like who did get snapped, who didn't get snapped, who missed time, how did that affect them. Specifically, we see, Florence Pugh as Yelena in Hawkeye. She got snapped and came back, and that was a really weird. Monica Rambeau snapped and came back. And that's a huge part of WandaVision, huge part of Hawkeye. This is kind of the one thing I think that you can say, like, okay, they kind of kept doing this because the snap was such a big part of these movies. And like we said, as far as this being a sequel to Endgame, I think it's still going to be. Yeah. And I think you can take this idea from this Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer that came out that they just straight up not in the movie. Doctor Doom can come in and say, maybe to convince some people, I don't know if this will be his main deal or whatever. He can say to the X-Men, like, piggybacking off the point we made before, like, I can put you in a world where you guys are free if you do this, this, and this for me. Just a thought I had.
I mean, yeah, it is probably going to be something like that.
Yeah.
He has Doom World on the mind. He's saying, in the new universe, the X-Men and the mutants will never have to live in fear. Yeah, Yelena, your sister back or whatever.
Yeah, there's so many different things that you could hang over these guys. Yeah. We've seen them for so long, and we've seen them lose a lot. Mm-hmm. Final thing before we head off here. What's Doom World? Like, you keep mentioning that for the average Joe. What is that?
Doom World won't play into Doomsday like at all. Maybe towards the end. Essentially, spoilers for Secret Wars, I guess, and probably this movie, but it's a two-parter, so you know this. They lose, big time. Universe is reset. Group of heroes create an interdimensional lifeboat kind of situation. The big guys: Reed Richards, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Black Panther, a couple others. And the universe is reborn as Doom World, which is this one place ruled by Doctor Doom, with his wife Sue Storm and their kid Valeria. It's essentially, I should say, like Doom's kind of perfect world. He rules it. He has pacified all of the Fantastic Four. Sue is his wife. Johnny is the son. He just turns into the son. And the Thing is their border. He's a giant wall. And he's super depressed. He hates being a wall. He has zero confidence, which is what keeps him as a wall. But all of our heroes, they play different roles. Doctor Strange is like his lead kind of guy. He's clearly very smart. There's the Thor Force, which is their military. It's just hundreds of Thors. But yeah, it's kind of like Latveria on steroids. It's Doom's perfect world, where he rules with his iron fist and everyone gets to run and play.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. We've talked about. Is there anything you want to get out about Doctor Doom before we go?
No, like I said, we kind of covered all the runs that I wanted to talk about here. We're gonna create some kind of graphic post if you're interested in learning more. But yeah, he is like the coolest character ever. There is so much that's just not going to be in these movies, unfortunately, or they're going to try their hardest to spin it. But I'm hoping for the best.
It's going to be good to know about this stuff, I think, going into the movie regardless, just so you know the potential for a character like this.
Yeah, or hey, there's a chance this movie sucks. The movie sucks. Read the comics. They don't.
Truth. Okay. This has been Sneaking into the Doomsday, the second episode. Subscribe on YouTube. Add us wherever you get your podcasts. This is actually also, it's the 1st of March when we're recording this. You can submit your totals for February for the Sneaking into the Movies Marathon right now, if you so desire. So get those totals in, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.